Welcome back to another episode of Questions with Crocker with me, Dr. Crocker, your resident emergency veterinarian and practice owner, and my husband, Shane.
What am I?
You're my partner in life and in practice.
I need to be resident husband or something.
Oh, you can be resident husband. Actually, I think I told you the story of one of the veterinarians I know that goes to a lot of conferences, and her husband goes. And when he goes, his badge, because we all wear name badges everywhere, it actually just says arm candy. That's what she registers him as.
That's funny.
And so I was like,
I'm not sure I qualify for that, though.
You should be like the emotional support husband or something. At this point, you are like the bank, right? Because we are spending money. We are doing a renovation. We just finished phase
I don't know.
2.
I feel like we need to rob a bank, actually.
The money tree is not growing
Money
in the
tree
very back,
is dead.
but that's okay. But actually, we were feeling better because we got the big part of the renovation done. We took the old large animal hospital part in our 35-plus-year-old hospital.
It's like 45.
45.
Yeah.
Definitely old building, and turned it into basically our new small animal hospital. So what is your favorite parts of the new part of the hospital?
I love having more exam rooms and the natural light. It's much more bright and happy in there.
We went from 2 exam rooms to 5. Huge difference. Huge difference. And one of those rooms is specifically a comfort room. It's really nice because it's by our back entrance. And so if people are having difficult discussions, quality of life discussions, or their pet is being put to sleep, we can bring them in the back. It's a lot more private. And then we made the room just with like a rug, some dog beds, a couch, low lighting. So it's a little more, feels a little less like a vet hospital and a little more relaxed for a really difficult moment in a pet owner's life. But we actually had to use it on the very first day, and the team said that the pet owner was very comfortable in there and they really liked the setup. So I know that that's something weird to be excited about, but I feel like our job as veterinarians is to help people during that really hard time and hard decision, make it a little bit easier and make it as peaceful as possible for them and their pet. So I'm glad that we have a space for that now that's designated for it. I'm also really excited that we have a call center now. So do you want to kind of explain that a little bit more?
We have a call center.
Why did we make a call center?
Somebody at this room wanted to make sure that phones were answered in a timely manner and they weren't disruptive to the client experience, which makes a lot of sense.
It may be just me, but I literally hate when I walk in somewhere and I'm like on time for my appointment and I walk up. What was that face?
You're never on time for an appointment.
I am occasionally late. I do have a problem sometimes with time management. I think that I have more time than I have. So I'm like, I can just fold this clothes real quick, or I can just do this. I always think it's going to take me. Yes, I am late. I am a late person. I am one of those annoying people. So anyways, when I walk in and I'm running a few minutes late to my appointment, no, I want to just be greeted. I want to take care of whatever I need to take care of. And when someone's on the phone and I have to just stand there and I don't really know what to do, where to look, it's super awkward. And it's probably awkward for them on the phone too, because they're just like either ignoring me or having to put people on hold constantly. I just hate that feeling.
Completely agree.
As a consumer. So I wanted to take that away, and oh my gosh, it worked. So we had someone walk in and she's been seen a couple of times last week. She has a 14-year-old dog. The dog is not doing well. She had to go to the emergency clinic over the weekend, and she really just wanted to talk about, are there other options, next steps, kind of give us an update. And I was able to actually walk up there, have a conversation with her, about a really difficult decision that she's probably going to have to make soon, come up with a plan. And there was no phones that rang the entire time. And it felt a lot more peaceful. It didn't feel rushed. And I just liked the vibe a lot better. We also had our workflow. We're trying to get people in rooms right away, which is why we wanted more rooms. And so we had someone call and say, I just want to remind you, my dog's really aggressive. So if the lobby can be clear. And I was able to say, the lobby should be clear. Our new workflow is we're going to try to get you in a room directly. The receptionist will actually take you in there. You don't have to wait for a technician. And they were so grateful. And that was the same thing. We were able to put them in a room. We have glass doors, but you can put the blind down. So they did that. And that visit went as peaceful as it could go. So overall, I kept looking at everyone yesterday and I was like, is this going as well as I feel like it's going? Because The only real issues were, technology, where one of the printers was on the wrong Wi-Fi and one of the labelers wouldn't print and, things like that. But there wasn't any huge, this isn't going to work, workflow type issues. And that was, I don't know, it was a very good feeling.
I would agree.
And I needed that after all the other things that have gone on. I also want to say I owe you an apology. I'm just going to publicly apologize because I know that I'm not easy to work with on projects. I'm a little demanding, surprise, surprise. And I really wanted this to go as fast as possible. And I definitely was on you about it and definitely asked you a lot of questions. And sometimes was unhappy when people didn't show up to do their jobs or things were going on. But you got it done. So
I would probably hold on to that until we get everything complete because we still don't have a plumber there to do our oxygen drops.
That is true. We're still waiting on a plumber.
Who's a week late at this point.
He's no-showed 2 appointments so far.
It's probably technically 3.
Technically 3. All right. Well, you should take the apology. Take the win.
I'll take that.
Okay, good. I did get to see a couple cases yesterday. I usually do work emergency. We probably should have talked about this earlier, but for anyone who's new to the podcast, I am an emergency veterinarian. I mainly work ER shifts, but we own a general practice small animal hospital. Occasionally I work shifts there. So I did work a little bit yesterday. And the interesting thing, this will go into what we're talking about later, but one of the team members had a sick kid. So she brought him up until someone could come pick him up. So I saw the first couple rooms for her. And then I had appointments later. And I saw one of my favorite rooms ever. So I saw a cute Frenchie dog that was having skin issues. Surprise, surprise. And the skin was all flaky and, his real hair was kind of thin. And it was mainly over like the butt area. And the dog was super itchy. Like you just barely touched him. And it's like, oh, I'm so itchy. So with me telling you that, super itchy, hair over the butt, missing.
Fleas.
Nailed it. Look at you.
I'm in.
Look at you.
Give me a license.
You want me to hire you right now? Dr. Shane in the house. So yes, we saw fleas. You could actually see them crawling on the dog. We were able to tell the owner, this is fleas. And at first they're like, we have never had fleas. The dog was like 3. I think in Texas, because we're having so much rain, we are seeing way more flea issues than we've ever had. And it hasn't been quite as hot as it's been in the past. But I was able to tell them, I actually love it when I diagnose fleas. Like that is one of my favorite things to do.
Easy fix.
So easy to fix. It's much better than environmental allergies, which are like a lifetime, right? Put them on flea prevention. Give him good baths. We need to do medicated baths with this dog because it actually had a little infection from how much it had been like chewing and scratching. But man, you can treat for it and you can actually cure it. Where if it's environmental allergies or something else, it's a lifetime of dealing with it and managing it. So flea life cycle's 3 months. We said, let's get you on 3 months of prevention. All the dogs in the house need it. We were able to do that for her because we'd seen her other pets. But I also was thinking back to, I went to a conference recently. And we always tell people, like, treat your house for 3 months, treat all the pets. The fleas won't have anything to feed on, vacuum well, clean bedding, they'll go away. But I met a dermatologist and they told me something crazy. So they said that fleas, if there's no animals and there's no like people, that they will actually have like a dormant state as an egg and they can go like months where they just sit in the carpet or in the environment. And then when all of a sudden there's an animal and people back in the house, they'll like wake up and be alive and start feeding again. So that's why you'll have somebody like rent up an apartment that's been empty for a little bit and not know there's an issue. And then in a couple weeks, all of a sudden like have a flea issue because they can go dormant for like a really long period of time, which I thought they would just die, but they apparently have some weird dormant state where they actually can survive for a while. So I thought that was crazy. I actually heard it from a board certified dermatologist, so I believe it. Did not fact check anything, but it kind of freaked me out a little bit. How do you feel about fleas?
I hate fleas.
Is that like your top hate ectoparasite?
I don't know. I'm not sure what ectoparasite is, but that probably ranks towards the top of whatever one of those are.
Ecto means exterior. Parasite is a parasite. So ectoparasite are parasites on the outside. And then things like worms and things are inside are going to be endoparasites. So inside of you. So that's your veterinary lesson for the day.
I took biology several times.
You did take biology a lot. Is it your favorite subject ever?
No.
What was your favorite subject in school? Like out of all the things you took?
In college?
Yeah, in college. You got a finance degree.
Yeah.
Okay. What was your favorite class?
Probably international finance.
What even is international finance?
Just talked about like the
how to hide money.
Yeah, how to launder successfully. No, we talked a lot about different currencies and euros and the Kyoto Protocol and a bunch of random stuff.
See, that's a foreign language to me, much like ectoparasite to you. Was it about like the economics of like the strength of the U.S. economy versus...
Yeah, and how things, how something in other countries can affect things going on in the States and vice versa with all the goods being traded and everything else.
It's very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Economics was probably one of my least favorite classes ever because they went really into depth about things that I really didn't care about. But now that I actually own a business and I have to think more about supply and demand and cost of goods and all that, I probably should have paid more attention in economics. But I have you.
Yes.
And you teach me every day about something.
I'll start teaching you some stuff.
You actually messaged me yesterday because we got the bill from our lab place. And you were like, some of these prices have gone up. And I was thinking like they've like gone up dramatically. And it was like $2-3. And honestly, at first I'm like, $2-3, like, is it worth going in, making sure all the prices are accurate? But then I was thinking about it, and $2-3, if in a month, we do that test 50 times, that's $100. That can add up really quickly over time. So we do need to keep up with it. And it is something that I'm glad that you got your eye on the prize.
I look at it more maintaining margin. So you have a set margin on some of those items. You want to maintain that margin.
Oh, Corbin wants to show us. Do you want to show us? You can come in here. Are you done with that part of it?
Out of the fern balls.
Oh, that's incredible. What is that?
It's like a Minecraft sword, kind of.
That's cool. What kind of sword?
It's supposed to go.
Oh, it'll sit like on the box like that, like it's coming out of it?
Uh-huh.
Cool.
And like a mountain on the thingy. And it's going to look kind of like this going into the mountain.
That's going to be awesome. I can't wait to see it finished. Thanks for sharing. Love you. So our kid interrupting us is actually a good segue into what we want to talk about. A lot of times Questions with Crocker is based off of questions that people submit to us. But this is actually something that happened recently online. And basically I had a question for you revolving around it. So there was a group of veterinarians that created a video. And at first I thought maybe it was like satire, but then reading the comments, I realized like they created this video. Well, I don't want to say anything until I play it because I don't want to cloud what you think. So I'm just going to play it because I don't want to like put any words in anyone's mouth. So I'll play the video and then you can see it. Let me find it really quick. But I saw this video and just right off the bat, I didn't feel great about it. And then the comments were very one way or the other. So let me play it real quick.
I'm a child-free woman in vet med. Of course I will stay late so you can pick up your kid at daycare.
I'm a child-free woman in vet med. Of course I'll do the x-rays and anesthetic gas risk so you don't have to.
I'm a child-free woman in vet med. Of course I will pick up extra shifts when your kid is sick. Again.
I'm a child-free woman in vet med. Of course I can work on major holidays so you can stay at home with the kids.
I'm a child-free woman in vet med. Of course I'll deal with the morning chaos alone because your kid didn't put shoes on this morning.
Okay, so that was the video. And obviously I'm a parent. So right away I was like, ooh, that kind of seems very targeted. And maybe not the most, what do I say? Conducive to bringing people together, basically. Very divisive, potentially. And from the comments, it was extremely divisive. So what are your initial thoughts when you hear that video?
I think I've seen that trend on TikTok. So at first I think of it as kind of funny, a little bit of truth, a little bit of all the above.
Yeah, like we did. I'm a vet tech. Of course, I have poop in my pocket. I'm a vet tech. Of course, I get bit. Like we did that.
So a little bit of, like it's satire,
sarcasm,
I guess.
100%.
I also think about us being at restaurants, newly married at a nice restaurant, and the kid being on electronics and thinking, man, our kid will never be on electronics in the middle of a restaurant.
Speaking of you, that looks great.
This is how it turned out. They're like they're like hearts right there, and then the whole back just connects.
Here, let me show it so people could see. That looks incredible. All right, go keep working on it.
Okay.
Love you.
So what I was saying is, we were the young
couple with no kids. For 7 years, we were married.
That basically said, our kid will never be on electronics at a nice dinner. And they most definitely on electronics at a nice dinner. So some of it's that as well. I mean,
there's a lot of like, if you don't have kids,
Yeah, so I can understand where these people are like, don't have kids. Therefore, they feel like they're the scapegoat on some of this. At the same time, when they have kids, they'll probably change their opinion pretty dramatically.
So they both did say like they choose to be child free. They're not planning on having children, which totally fair, totally valid. I think my initial thought was, and this is kind of what I commented, is you are targeting the wrong people. So the video was made towards like the parents, right? And saying like, I will stay late because you have to get your kid from daycare. I will do this. I will do that, right? My feeling, and it's probably because I am a practice owner, is you shouldn't be made to do any of those things unless you want to and you agree to them.
Yeah.
So, if they are the ones that are always there early, always stay late because someone else's schedule, why is that? And have they spoken to, their team lead? Because we certainly have people that are on a schedule that works for them based on childcare or works for them based on their commute. So we have schedules that are, I guess, flexible, but we also have people that don't have kids that, come in early and leave early. And so we adjust the schedule based on the people.
But I could also see where we would have blinders on if, the person with no kids was always asked to do stuff. I don't think we would notice that unless they brought it to our attention.
Right. So I did kind of say, I think you need to be talking to, like, if you truly feel this way, you truly feel like taken advantage of and honestly, like, feel disrespected. You could tell they, like, feel hurt almost. And I think if I was working with them, like if I was a vet working with them that had kids and I saw this video, I would be like, so rude, right? Like so disrespectful. But if you really feel like disregarded in your time then you should be talking to somebody. And if your concerns are not heard and if you can't make the schedule work for you, then that to me would be something that I'd have to consider not working there. And they don't actually live in the state, so it could be they don't have the flexibility to move to a different place. But I think initially I was very, kind of pissed about it. And then the more I thought about it, the more I was like, I can see why they're frustrated. Do I think the video was made in good taste and was helpful? No, but I can definitely see where their frustration was coming from.
I would agree.
I just don't think they voiced it in a way that was conducive to conversation at all.
I would argue that it got conversation started.
That's true. Maybe it's that it wasn't the people that maybe needed to really hear it weren't going to hear it because of the delivery, I guess would be. Because you had a ton of people in the comments saying like, oh my gosh, like I don't have kids and I always have to do A, B, and C, which the one about I'm always going to work holidays because you have kids. I work emergency. Like I work holidays, even though I have kids. And so we all split the responsibility. It's not like one person has to pick up all the holidays because, other people don't. And in GP, we're closed on the holidays. So that one was a little interesting to me. But for the most part, I started to kind of understand a little bit more what they were saying. I just didn't like how they were saying it. And in the comments, they were very defensive and very kind of cutting about it too. So it made it harder to, I guess, have a conversation about it. Now, one of the other things I thought about is kids are not the only reason that someone might have a certain schedule or you might have to cover for somebody in general.
Yeah, we have a partner at home and not have a partner. It could be a lot of issues, old versus young. There's a lot of things that could
happen.
happen.
Well, if I just think about my career, I know that we've had to make adjustments to schedules and help each other out in practice because someone was having like a mental health issue and had to be out for a couple of weeks. We've had to do it several times because someone developed, a chronic illness and had days where they couldn't function because of rheumatoid arthritis or something else. We've had cancer diagnoses and someone having to be out because of chemo. We've had people who had a family member diagnosed. And so, schedules had to be adjusted. We had, someone get bit by a dog and they couldn't do technician work for so long and we had to adjust schedules. So I know someone whose elderly parent developed Alzheimer's and had to move in with them and they had to care for them. And so they needed a lot of flexibility and understanding in their schedule because they didn't know day to day, what was going to happen with their parent and what was going on. So, my point was, I hope that if you're a part of a veterinary team, I hope you never have the need to adjust your schedule because something in life happens that you can't control, right? But on the flip side, I think we all have our time where we need our team to be understanding and be supportive. And there's life stages that maybe require a little more of that. And if you're a part of an industry that is mainly women, having children and taking care of children is going to be a component of it.
I would also wonder if maybe they feel as if they're the only ones having to do that. But if you really look to the data, if that's not the case, meaning, let's say there's 5 people on the team, if they really all kind of split responsibilities, but they feel like they get the brunt of it because they don't have kids. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If it's truly a feeling or if it's really the case where
it really happens.
Yeah.
Well, and you wonder is it a new thing? Has it been going on forever? Is there someone that just negotiated the heck out of their schedule and what they get to do? And when you asked, you were told no. And I will say we recently added some team members. So we were adjusting the schedule of our hospital. And this video did make me think, I was kind of thinking of certain people who might want a different schedule. But I actually went to the younger people who I knew didn't have any responsibilities. But I asked them first, the ones that always showed up, work every day. Do you want a day off during the week? What do you want your schedule to be? Do you have a need? Do we need to change anything? Where I might have not gone to them as early because I know that they want to work as much as possible in as many hours. And the feedback I got from them was, no, I like working the hours I work. I like working every day. I'm very happy with my schedule. But it did make me, like you said, not have the blinders that maybe I would have had before, to make adjustments based off of people's personal lives and instead just make sure it was very fair across the board and I got feedback from everyone. The other, though, big thing and part of this is, as a practice owner, I think that it is really important that your team doesn't feel guilty if they have to be out for a reason or they have to call you. And it's also important that you train your clients that sometimes you might call them and say, hey, our doctor's out. This happened. Hey, we need to make an adjustment. Hey, we need to move you. Because again, life happens and you can't always say you're going to have everything go according to plan. So it almost felt like there was a failing on the part of their leadership to appropriately set expectations and manage the team. I'm okay with the fact that we might have a day where we have to adjust things or I have to cancel some appointments in the afternoon because something happens. And if we have clients that get upset about that, those aren't the clients for our practice because our practice is set up for people to be able to work there, but also take care of the things they need to take care of in their personal life. It's not an emergency hospital. Our schedule, I think, is great. It's only 4.5 days a week. We're half day Friday, no Saturday, Sunday. But we still have to be open to the fact that, and I know this might hurt your heart a little bit being from the finance side of the practice, but there's going to be days where we're not going to make as much money because something happens.
Yeah, I hate that.
You hate it, but it's the reality,
it is the reality, yes.
of business ownership, right?
Yes.
It's just like I go to McDonald's and I really want a chocolate shake and the shake machine is always freaking broken. And so McDonald's could have gotten so much money from me by now for chocolate shakes, but sometimes the shake machine's down and they just can't help me. And it is what it is, right? The video itself, really, really set me off initially. But the more I thought about it, the more I actually felt really kind of bad for them that they are in that position, that they feel that way, and bad for the people that they work with. Because if they...
I mean, yeah, I would say it's probably a toxic environment to begin with. It doesn't sound like a very
supportive group, fun environment. Yeah. No. I mean, I think about the vets that I work with, and even the one yesterday that had a sick kid, and I covered for her part of the day. She sent me like the nicest text message at the end of the day, just saying like, love the new renovations. So happy to be a part of the team. Thank you so much for covering for me. Like, there was that mutual respect of like, I know that this was a little harder on everybody because of what happened, but I appreciate you. And that can make a world of difference. If you just recognize, hey, I know that this is making it harder on the team right now. I really appreciate everyone helping each other out and still getting the job done. Like, I was like, absolutely.
Which is a much different attitude than if she would have been like, felt entitled that because she had a kid that was sick, she got it to leave.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, we don't know what those other veterinarians that these people are working for. I mean, they may feel entitled, and that's a problem too.
Yeah. I mean, there were some people in the comments saying, my child is, the most important thing in my life, is a priority. 100% I agree with that. Yeah. But I do also agree.
But you're still part of a team.
Yes. With you signed up for a job, you signed up for responsibilities, and you need to have a support system in place to be able to help you if something does happen. So it can't just be something happened, I'm out. There has to be plan A, B, and C, because even for you and me, we have very flexible schedules, but we also do have a group of people that we've established at our kids' school, fellow parents, our, parents locally, that if we're really in a bind, like, we can call in reinforcements. And so you have to have those layers of support if you choose to have children. I completely agree with that. It's just sometimes the unexpected happens and you just can't. You can't make everything go exactly according to plan, which we work in freaking veterinary medicine. That happens every day. Every single day, something happens that we had no idea was going to happen and is so wild that we can't even wrap our head around it. So that's life in general. So I think if you have the personality of like, I expect this to happen every day and you can't adjust, you can't adapt, you're actually in the long run going to have a harder time in this career in general. So I hope that people, when they get, I guess, triggered online from a video, that maybe they can take a moment to pause and say, like, where are these people coming from? And my experience is my own. I would never make that video. I would never say that. I would be hurt if I was on the receiving end of that as like a fellow team member, but I get it.
I don't think I was offended by listening to it.
You weren't?
No, I think maybe reading comments, if they were really doubled down and got really defensive, maybe that would be the trigger, but just the video itself.
That could be because you haven't had to be the parent that's called and said like, hey, I'm so sorry. My kid's sick. I can't come.
Yeah.
Because that guilt is there. Like, whether people say, I need to take care of my kid, you know what your responsibility is. But if you are in this profession, you care about what you're doing, you care about your team, you still feel bad. And you have that guilt if you're not able to be there and be present. And you put more of a burden on your team. You really do. So, but that's interesting that you don't get. Maybe I'm a little more fiery in general about some things. Okay, so I'll be interested to hear what other people think about it. And also, I just want to say thanks. I appreciate you. I'm excited about the hospital. I'm excited to share more. If you guys have questions about practice ownership, about being an emergency vet, about being parents in veterinary medicine, or
you want to set up a GoFundMe.
Or you want to give feedback on anything, you can follow us at Questions with Crocker. You can leave a review on Apple or Spotify. We really appreciate reviews and feedback. You can message me on social media at dr.tanasia.crocker. And we appreciate you guys for being here and for listening. Have a wonderful week.
Your cat's all done.
Off to good.